Our special New Year's Eve edition of the United Soccer Coaches podcast, my favorite part of the show, where we meet another impressive member of our 30 under 30 class, Sammy Jay Jr., who's the head coach at Bloomfield College. We'll get to know a little bit more about that D2 program, but right now we're going to get to know Sammy. Happy New Year, Sammy.
Happy New Year, Dean. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, delighted to have you on, and I want to hear your story. So tell us where you're originally from, how long you've been in the States, and when you started playing soccer.
I'm originally from Ghana, and I moved to the States when I was about 11 years old. I started playing soccer when I was probably about 6 years old. My dad played for the Ghana national team and is an Olympian. So, I kind of grew up in that environment with a dad who, played at the highest level. So I kind of didn't have much of an option. I started playing as soon as I could really walk.
That's big time. What position did your dad play on the Olympic team?
My dad was a right back and a left back on the Olympic team for Ghana.
That's incredible. Okay. And so you're 11, so you're old enough to know what's going on. What did your parents say when they said, hey, we're leaving Ghana, we're headed to the United States? What was that all about, Sammy?
It was actually, my dad moved here first to train with the Metro Stars because he was still kind of getting to the tail end of his career. And it was more so coming here to be with him and hopefully get more opportunities, in the States to grow and in comparison to Ghana. So it was more so moving to get closer to my dad and also, in hopes for greener pastures, if I may say so.
All right, Sammy, walk me through ages 11 to 18. What club did you start playing for? Did you stay in New York? Did you move around? Tell us that story.
Yeah, so I actually stayed in New Jersey the whole time. And I started playing for Den of Lions. And one day we played against a team that was being coached by Rick Jacobs, who was the head coach at St. Benedicts Prep. So after the game, Rick Jacobs came to me and said, I think you're going to come play for me at St. Benedicts. And, I ended up going to St. Benedict's. I joined the New York Red Bulls at age 13 and played all the way there through ages 13, all the way to the first team.
Pretty sure St. Benedict's, that's Claudio Reyna amongst other superstars, correct?
Yes. Claudio Reyna, Greg Berhalter. Benedict's was, we were ranked number 1 in the country at the time.
So how many titles did you win during your time at St. Benedict's, Sammy?
I won 2 titles at St. Benedict's Prep.
All right, good for you. Okay. All right, now you've got to go through the process of picking a college. What did you decide to do, or did you go pro? Where did you go after St. Benedict's?
After St. Benedict's, I went to Iona College in New Rochelle, New York, where I played for Fernando Barbodo, who's now the head coach at NJIT. It was a pretty tough decision, I think, by my junior year. Iona was one of the first schools to offer me a full scholarship. And, coming from where I'm from, it's if you get a free opportunity to attend college without paying, you take it, But I think looking back, I made the best decision and playing for one of the top coaches I feel in the state. And so it was great experience at Iona.
Yeah, you're dropping some great names. I love it. All right. What position did you play at Iona? What did you major in Iona? And when did you start getting the coaching bug? In that order, Sammy.
So I played as a left winger, primarily at Iona, and I also played as a center forward. I graduated from Iona in 2014 with a business marketing degree. In terms of coaching, I didn't start coaching up until I think junior year at Iona.
Okay. And were you coaching a youth club locally, or what were you doing, Sammy? Walk us through that.
I've coached all levels, right? I've coached from kids who were in KG to middle school to high school, then now to the college game. But when I first started, I actually had U10 girls from Montclair Soccer Club, which was, a great experience.
All right. Well, you're 6 months into this Bloomfield job. Obviously, this terrible pandemic has kind of changed the game a little bit, but hopefully we get through it and you're back out there doing what you love. But talk about how you went about getting that job. What are some of the jobs you did prior to that and the application? And what do you remember when you got the word, hey, you're going to be the new head coach at Bloomfield?
Yeah, so it's actually very interesting how it happened. I was coaching for Wayne Hills High School. And prior to that, I coached Pingree Middle School. And I wanted to coach at the next level and always push myself. So I started to look for colleges where I could volunteer some of my time, maybe a couple of times per week to kind of just get into that college game. And, at the time I went to Bloomfield, because, I live in Bloomfield, so it was a little bit convenient to go there. And I started helping out a couple of times per week. Fast forward, they, decided to move on from the current coach. And I figured, well, I've lost my volunteer coaching position. And actually, a few weeks later, the athletic director, Sheila Wooten, she called me and said, Sammy, all the girls just came to me and said they want to play for you. So if you're ready to take on this role, then I'm more than happy to have you join my family and join my staff. And I said, yeah. I had to think about it for about 30 seconds, and I said, yes, I'm in. Sign me up.
All right. I'm glad they signed you up, and I'm glad that you mentioned it was the girls team. When did you know that you could coach women? Because sometimes there's some challenges there, but clearly they loved you and you must love them and everything's good.
Yes, for me, the biggest part of my coaching is the relationship I form with my players. And, like I mentioned earlier, I started coaching with U10 girls, which may have been a foreshadowing that I'll continue to work with girls at some point. But I had a pretty good balance in terms of working with guys and girls. So I knew I could go either way. And like you said, there's a little difference, but I think at the end of the day, you're still coaching people and you want to form relationships with them and win games.
I love that story on how you got that job. And that's awesome that the players went to the administration and said, hey, we want Sammy. I also want to know your story on how you were able to get the word from 30 under 30. Did you apply multiple times? What made you want to be a part of it? And what do you remember about when they said, hey, you're in?
So a very good coaching colleague of mine who actually played at Iona, Laura Jackson, she was part of 30 under 30 a few years ago and is now assistant coach at Kansas. So I knew she had went through that program and she only had great things to say. And I said, okay, let me try applying this one time and see if I get in. So I applied for it and I didn't even, I kind of took my mind off it for a while because I wasn't sure how many people were applying, if I'll get in. And so I think the day I found out was Laura actually posting on her Instagram story and tagging me and say, Sammy, congrats. And I saw the story. I was like, whoa. And that's when the text started coming in from my other coaching colleagues and mentors and congrats. And I was like, wow, I actually got in.
I love it. Well, Sammy, I like your background. It's pretty amazing that your dad played for Ghana and played for them in the Olympics, and he's now over here still with you in the States with your mom and your sister. Can you kind of put into words how proud your parents are of you?
I think my parents set pretty high standards for us, coming from Ghana to America because, we constantly were told we have opportunities that not every kid, has exposure to. So I would say they're very proud of our accomplishments so far. And I say our because my sister is a doctor at the Yale Hospital in Connecticut and she's a Harvard graduate. So, they set the bars pretty high for us. And, if anything, I'm proud of my sister, and I kind of went the soccer route and followed my dad. So, yeah.
That's so well said, particularly in this era of COVID. I'm super proud of your sister and grateful to her as well. Please send her my gratitude and really everybody's gratitude for doing what she's doing, because it's definitely a scary time for sure. Knowing that you've got such a unique background, I'm going to put a little pressure on you. You've probably been able to meet some pretty neat people in soccer, but if you could pick just a couple people that are dead or alive in the soccer world that you'd love to have a dinner with, who would they be and why, Sammy? Who would you love to hang out with and pick their brain?
That's a tough one. I think one of the people I pick is Carlo Ancelotti, who is the coach for Everton currently. He's one of the coaches I study a lot, and I think his method of leadership, and he's coached some of the best players in the world and always found a way to get them on the same page and play for him. So I think he would definitely be one of them. And I think the second one might be Ronaldinho, man. I think just as a player, I think that's more from a player perspective and how he was always able to play with so much joy, no matter what was happening around him. And that's one thing I always took with me is that no matter what was going on when I stepped on the field, nothing else mattered. It was just having fun and still remembering why I started playing the game in the first place.
Those are solid, my man. I can tell you took some time thinking about it. All right, switching to women's soccer. Now that you're coaching women and the U.S. women are so amazing, the NWSL is doing well. You have a team nearby in Sky Blue. They've righted the ship. They look like they know what they're doing over there now. Do you get behind and support the young women on your team as they cheer for the U.S. women's national team and support the NWSL?
Yes, absolutely. I think the culture for women's soccer is brilliant here, and I have a few girls on my team who grew up in countries or environments where there was nothing like girls soccer, right? They played with the boys. So for them to be in the States now and see how big the women's soccer game is huge. I actually have a couple of friends who play in the NWSL, and I've actually had them come on a Zoom call with my team. So Jamia Fields, who plays for Houston, she's been on a Zoom call. And then Jennifer Cujo, who plays for Sky Blue, she's also been on a Zoom call with my girls. So more so now than ever, they've been connected to a few professionals and now they see what it takes. They hear from them directly. And it's actually been great that I've been able to bring that to Bloomfield and the girls kind of have an example to emulate now.
All right, it's New Year's Eve. Let's end with this. Again, 2 questions in one. I've been crushing you with these, but you've been handling them all. What might be your New Year's resolution? Maybe you haven't thought about it yet. And then because it's New Year's, I like to ask this crystal ball question. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? So New Year's resolution for 2021, as we all try to put 2020 behind us. And 10 years from now, Mr. Sammy, where will you be?
So my New Year's resolution is to continue to challenge myself every day and make sure my next session is better than my last session and just continue growing in that manner. And I think in 10 years, I see myself hopefully coaching at the highest level and you know, continuing to form relationships with people and making a difference through soccer.
Sammy, pleasure getting to know you. Thanks for being on the New Year's Eve edition of the United Soccer Coaches Podcast presented by TeamSnap. You have a bright future, young man.
Thank you, Dean. I really appreciate you for having me.